Hi, all. Good afternoon, good morning, and good evening. Thanks for joining. I know some of you have joined from different geographical area. So that's the reason I have greeted you all in all the terms. So yeah, I welcome you all at PyNet Labs for this CCIE Enterprise training. Let's wait for 6 more minutes. Let other participants join, and then we'll start our day one for the training. Yeah, thank you. Hi all. Good afternoon. Thanks for joining. And yeah, it's already 1:05, so let's get started with our day one for the CCI Enterprise training. Here, initially, we are going to cover the first module, that is CCNP and Core, which is considered as a written exam for the CCI Enterprise training. So once again, I welcome you all at PyNet Labs for this training. All right, so participants, I can see some of them are facing difficulty. Our operations team and backend teams are working, like helping them in terms of getting joined this class. But meanwhile, let's get started with the content which we are having. So for this session, we have Chirag as your instructor. He is one of our senior corporate instructor. He delivers multiple training at PyNet labs like CCNA, Encore, NRC, SD-WAN, automation, CCIE Enterprise. Recently, he is delivering trainings on generative AI. He's also delivering routing protocols training. Is having good hands-on experience in delivering these trainings not only to the corporates but to the public generic participants as well. Okay, so I'll request each and everyone to discuss your doubts, to discuss your queries, whatever you are having related to this track with him. You all are having an option to unmute. You can discuss from there. You can discuss your concerns with him. Chirag sir will be helping you all. Apart from this, yeah, if you face any difficulty in joining the tomorrow's class or any other classes, you can feel free to reach out to me. You will be getting the class recording also for all the sessions which we are going to have here. Okay, so yeah, I think we are good to go. All the very best, and over to you, Chirag sir, please. Thank you.
Thank you, Nitesh. Hello, everyone. I hope I'm clearly audible to all of you. Okay, I can see you all present here in this first session of CCIE Enterprise Training. And first of all, I would like to quickly share my screen. As you already know, my name is Chirag, and like Mr. Nitesh mentioned, that I'll be joining you or accompanying you on this amazing journey of getting CCI number for you all. So I have been into the domain of networking for more than 7 years now, and the journey has been great. And it all started back from CCNA, leveling up to CCNP, and then CCIE. I can surely tell you that one of the very amazing experience was to sit for that exam and get the certification done. I'm pretty sure that all of you who have joined today, you all must be equally excited and motivated to get this CCI number for yourself. So I won't be taking a lot of time from all of you about the introduction and stuff. I quickly want to know about you all. You can quickly tell me about yourself one by one. A very quick brief introduction about you would do the job so that I can know the audience and we can proceed with the session accordingly. Yeah. So we have Abhijit with us. Hi, Abhijit. Okay, no issues. If you guys are not able to unmute right now, you can let me know in the chat about yourself probably and can share your introduction there. You can tell me about your current level of experience, your current knowledge of networking domain, and what do you expect from the uh, training that we have here, CCI. I mean, obviously you expect the certification, but yeah, what else do you expect? What you are excited to learn about? Yes. Meanwhile, I will walk you through the content of CCI exam, and we will discuss a bit about how the exam works, how the prerequisites work, and what all things you should be prepared with to get your certification. Yeah. I'm hoping my screen is visible to all of you and I'm quite audible to all of you. If someone can quickly confirm that in the chat, it would be great. Yes, okay. Perfect. No worries, guys. If you're not able to unmute at any point you have a question or doubt, you can let me know by dropping it in the chat box and I will address your concerns. So when we talk about networking domain, Cisco is a big giant, right? We all know about it, right? And Cisco offers us 3 levels of certification. I'm quite sure you all must be aware of it: CCNA, CCNP, and CCIE. CCIE stands for Cisco Certified Inter-Network Expert. Now, I'm sure that all of us must have been into the industry for multiple years now, right? Many of us would have a good amount of experience with various technologies of networking. Many of us might be starting it for the first time and learning about all these amazing technologies that can help you in becoming a CCI. What basically I expect from you all is a knowledge up to the level of CCNA. Because our program is designed in a manner which will not just teach you the curriculum of CCIE, but also gives you an understanding on the NCORE concepts. So NCORE is basically what you will get here in the training. After NCORE, NRC topics. In addition to that, many more additional concepts would be discussed. In addition to that, you obviously get SD-WAN discussions, you get SDA discussions, and you get to know about automation. This is how I have given you a very quick overview of what the content is like and how it basically works. Now, if we get a little deeper into the discussions about the prerequisites and how this training can help you, or what all things you should be aware of before starting up your journey with CCIE. Okay, so let's talk about it. Cisco has been dealing with this level of certification for many years now, and the very recent version that they have introduced for all is CCIE version 1.1. So when I talk about this training, you will be learning about the content as per the recent version, which is 1.1. After you get your certification, what do you get to know, right? After you complete this training, what are some benefits that you will get out of it? First of all, you are going to get a good hands-on experience of all the various technologies which are there in the curriculum. Trust me, guys, there are many things that we, as a network engineer in the production environment, don't get chance to work, right? But CCIE ensures that it gives you every detail about every aspect of the networking. So you're not just learning the concepts here, but because you will be doing some labs along with it, you will get hands-on experience with the enterprise infrastructure. And that's mostly required to clear the exam, right? Once you have gained that knowledge, once you have got that understanding of all the protocols, I'll be mentoring you one-to-one to understand how you can appear for the exam, how you can prepare for the exam. So that's again something you get as a benefit out of this training. Plus, obviously, you all must be aware, we always deal with our trainings providing the labs. So an unlimited lab access would be given to you throughout your training duration, where you can practice and learn all the concepts that we discuss in the training, right? Now, the question is, what are the prerequisites? In order to appear for the CCI lab exam, the prerequisites involve NCORE certification, okay? You must have NCORE certification, an active NCORE certification to book your lab exam. But in order to appear for this particular training that we are discussing right now at PyNet Labs, you need to just have a level of understanding up to the CCNA concepts. A CCNA level understanding with a good practice and good experimentations is more than enough to get started with this particular training. Because, like I said, the training ensures that you are not just learning the content, but you are also covering the module of M4. Okay? So I would like to tell you how we proceed with the training before I talk about how the exam works. I hope you all are with me. I can see your introductions in the chat. So I'll keep on coming back to your questions in between after I'm done explaining my part. Yeah. So we have a very interesting question here. I would like to address it right now. What about the CCI lab exam? Is that not covered? No, Jacob, that's what we are here for. We are learning the whole, all the discussions are for preparing you for the CCI lab exam. Swapnil, you can try rejoining. Is it problem with everyone? Are you all able to hear me clearly? Let me check. Just give me a minute. I will try to switch my network. How is it now? I hope it's better now. Please confirm.
Yeah, Chirag sir, I think it's good. Can you please speak once?
Yeah, can you hear me clearly now?
Yeah, I can hear you perfectly. And
Perfect.
yeah, hi all. I'm really sorry for the difficulty you guys are facing in terms of unmuting yourself. Uh, but you can text me in the or you can text us in the chat box. Personally, I'll try to unmute yourself or you guys from the backend. From tomorrow class, you won't face this difficulty. Yeah, Chirag sir, over to you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
All right. I was talking about the prerequisites of this training. The training just wants you to have a basic CCNA knowledge. As like I mentioned earlier, we have broken down the training in 5 different modules. I'll quickly like to tell you about that. There are 5 modules in the training program. Module number 1, which teaches you, like I said, Encore. Then you have module 2. Module 2 is all about learning the advanced concepts. So after you have gained your knowledge on Encore, now it's time to get deeper into the concepts. So you'll learn about NRC. And in addition to that, some additional topics which are there required for CCI. Then we have the module number 3 about SD-WAN, software defined WAN. Then module number 4 about SD access. Module number 5 about the automation and programming. This is how it works, right? Talking about the content, a quick overview I would like to give. about the content. This is how the blueprint, official blueprint looks like. And the very first category is network infrastructure, where you get to learn about all the switching concepts. This whole part or the whole section teaches you everything related to switching that you must know. After that, we have routing concepts where you learn about the basic things like AD value, what is policy based routing, static routing, VRF aware routing, and so on. Then you get deeper into the concepts, you learn route leaking, learn about BFD, you learn about authentications. Then one by one, we will pick up the protocols and we'll get into every feature and aspect related to it. We have EIGRP, where we'll talk about all the adjacencies, all the best path selection mechanisms, how the metric calculation works, how the topology table works, how the neighbor table looks like, what is stuck in active, what is graceful shutdown, and so on. Likewise, we go for the OSPF version 2, version 3. We go for BGP in detail, everything related to attributes, related to policies, related to communities, everything, whatever you see here, right? All of that would be accompanied with a hand-on lab where you will not just learn the theory, but you will also do the lab, right? Then multicast again, we'll learn all the important protocols like IGMP, like protocol independent multicast, PIN, and we'll do all the related labs as well. After that, we speak about SD Access, where we get to work with Catalyst Center. We learn how the integration of ICE works, what are the different planes in SD Access, how the onboarding of site works, how the LAN automation works, how the inventory discovery works, and all of that. After that, finally, we have SD-WAN. SD-WAN, again, is a very interesting topic and a very important technology to learn right now, right? So you get to learn how to use SD-WAN, how to use policies, how to implement application aware, how to implement, you can say, hub and spoke topology, how to use feature templates, T-log extension, and so on. Lastly, automation, where, okay, obviously the transport technologies and solutions where VPN, MPLS, DMVPN, these things are discussed. Then we speak about some security part where we learn about VLAN ACLs, we learn about storm control, DHCP spoofing, source guard, ACLs, RA guard, DHCP guard, everything related to security, which covers IPv4 as well as IPv6. Then finally, quality of services there. We talk about that. We talk about network services like NTP, PTP, NAT, um, port address translation, HSRP, VRR. We speak about IPSLA, we speak about SPAN, we speak about automation part, where we discuss all the important encoding formats like JSON, XML, YAML, Zynga. Then we talk about applets, we talk about Python module, automation, and everything. So that's what I was saying earlier. CCI is not just another exam. It teaches you every aspect of the whole particular domain. So it gives you a good amount of knowledge in everything related to network. That's how the program works. This is a quick introduction about the content. Now, one by one, you can let me know your questions. Also, like earlier mentioned, those who have enrolled, you will be getting it over a Teams call. We will conduct the classes on Teams call. You will get the chance to unmute yourself. But meanwhile, you can drop your questions in the chat. Okay, how do we build the labs? We will build by bit by the lab. Dr. Prasad, I'll give you some understanding of how the labs work. And you got that right. We will be creating it bit by bit. We'll discuss all these protocols with the smaller labs, smaller topologies, and afterwards we'll do a big lab which teaches us how the CCI exam looks like. I'm checking again on the audio part. Just give me a minute. Yes, any other questions? Those who want to speak, you must be getting an option to ask to unmute. Probably, if you can do that, I'll be able to unmute you.
Chirag sir, can you please check your internet once because I think it's again breaking.
Yeah, sure. Just a second.
Sure.
Sorry, guys. Sorry about the issue. Is it better now? I have switched the network.
Yeah, yeah, it's perfectly fine. I think for now it's good. Yeah.
Okay, amazing. Perfect. We have a question. Are we going to be building a lab towards the main lab? So I'll give you guys a quick understanding on how the lab part works. Assume, like I told you, we'll be breaking it down in 5 modules, right? Assume we are on the module number 1. So every topic that is there in module number 1, which would obviously include all the switching concepts and the basic understanding of routing protocols up to the level of Encore. Just understand that you are learning Encore in the module number 1. So we'll do all the labs related to those topics in the module number 1, and you will get the lab access from our side. Okay. So you don't have to worry about setting up a lab, arranging the resources and everything. We'll take care of that for you. Inside that lab access, you will get some predefined topologies. I'll be giving you a good idea on that by showcasing my other screen also. But right now, just understand that you will get many topologies in that module number 1. Some topologies would be related to the protocol OSPF. Some would be related to the protocol BGP, and then so on. Okay. So whatever topic we are discussing, you will find relevant topologies for it. We will do the lab first in the class with me, and then later on after the class, whenever you find time, you can practice the same on your personal lab access that you will get from our side. Okay. That's how the module one would work. Similarly, you will get the same setup for module 2, 3, 4, 5. Once you have gained that knowledge, then we get to the final lab where we mix it all together. Like I told you, you'll get the mentorship from my side. So I'll guide you all how to work with this big enterprise infrastructure setup, how to bring down all the knowledge that you have gained through this particular training to that big lab and prepare yourself for the exam. This is how this works. I hope now I have answered your question about lab things. If there's anything else, do let me know. Any other questions before we proceed with topics? No, Jacob. Like I said, you will not have to do any sort of setup for yourself. We will provide you the lab access. Okay, guys, to address this problem of breaking, I'll quickly try class. Just give me a quick minute. I don't want you to have bad experience. Just give me a quick minute.
Yeah, please take your time, Chirag sir. I think there is constantly we are facing difficulty due to the internet connectivity. Please check once.
Yeah, I'll be right back.
Sure. So just a quick recap, what Chirag sir was saying to you all, like for doing the labs, you all are getting the virtual lab access from our side. Okay, that lab will be dedicatedly given to you all, which will be 24 into 7 with you. Okay, so every participants will have their own IP. Whatever configurations you are going to do on that lab will be with you only. No, none of the other participant can delete or edit those configurations. Yeah, so it's completely with you. When we talk about setting up the personal lab in your local system, so that is not possible in this training. Like, we will be giving you virtual lab from our side only. Yeah. Allow us couple of minutes. Let Chirag sir check the connectivity, and he will be back. Yeah. And I'm really sorry for the inconveniences which you guys are facing today. From tomorrow, we are going to have this session on Microsoft Teams only. Normally, we used to have sessions on Teams only, but this is the first time we have switched to Zoom for conducting the classes. Normally, we used to have webinar on this platform, but yeah, I'm really sorry. It's not good. Like, I'm personally, from my end only, I'm feeling very much not well in terms of saying this, but yeah, I'm sorry once again. From tomorrow, I'll share you the new fresh link for the Microsoft Teams, and there only we are going to have the sessions. Yeah. I think Chirag sir is back. All right.
Yes. Sorry again, guys. Sorry for the whole inconvenience. I am hoping that now I am audible to all of you.
uh I don't know. You can speak once again. Sorry.
Is it better now?
Yeah, it's better. Sometimes what happens now, your voice get slightly cracked. I don't know, the pitch is going high, then again low.
Okay.
Yeah.
How is it now? Is it better?
It's perfect, I think. It's perfect. Yeah, you can carry on. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, everyone, for being patient. And again, sorry for that. So, yes, I hope I have answered your questions about the lab thing. If you have anything else to question about, you can let me know. Okay, Abhijit, I hope now the voice issue is clear, right? Tarun? Okay. All right. Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you for waiting. So yeah, this was a quick overview I wanted to give you guys. Now a little about the exam before we jump onto the topics. When I talk about exam, in exam you are tested on some questions which will be MCQs and drag and drops, just like you must have experienced in your CCNA or CCNP certification. Then you get to see a whole big lab on which you have to complete tasks, which will judge you on your level of knowledge related to configuration, related to troubleshooting, related to SD-WAN, SDA, all the topics that we have mentioned, right? Now, in this case, you have to basically complete these two modules, module number one, and then this module number two. Like I said, module number one is what you complete with the MCQ questions, drag drop questions. The duration for this module is 3 hours. You get the time of 3 hours to complete this module. After that, you get after that you get to work on the lab part, which is the module number two, for which you get a duration of 5 hours. And in total, the whole exam is of 8 hours. Now, it is important to understand that it is mandatory to pass both the modules to get your certification. Okay. So that's again something you can have a look about and read about on Cisco's website or on our website to know more about how the exam works. Do have a knowledge on that as well. And this is basically the introduction and the knowledge I wanted you guys to gain about the content and about the exam before we start with the topics, right? Now it's time to get started with understanding a couple of more things and see how the labs look like. The topics that we are going to get started with today is the module number one. Module number one teaches us about switching concepts and all the encore related topics. Out of switching concepts, the topic that we are going to learn or get started with are VLANs. It's going to be an interesting discussion, and I have a very quick question for all of you. Assume that we have a switch and we have two teams connected to it. I have the HR team and then I have the tech team connected to it. Okay. Now we all have a good amount of experience, I'm sure, and we all must be having basic knowledge of VLANs at least. So can any one of you tell me what is the actual use case of VLAN? Why do we use VLANs? Very correct. Perfect. So in order to separate the broadcast domain, or we can say in order to break down the big broadcast domain into smaller chunks, we use VLANs. Now, many of my students I see do have this misunderstanding that it is same thing to put HR and tech team in different networks, which it would be while putting these two teams in different VLANs. So if I have given the HR domain the network 192.168.1.0/24 and the tech domain the network 192.168.2.0/24, then also they will not communicate, right? So does that replaces the need of VLANs? What do you think, guys? Yes or no? Why, Swapnil? What is basically missing here when they are in different networks? What part is missing which VLANs can fulfill or for which VLANs would be required? Layer 2, perfect. Layer 2 segregation is still not there. Even if I put them in different networks, still, if a broadcast message would be generated from, let's say, any of the device from the HR team, it would also be transmitted to the tech team, right? Because at layer 2, they are still sharing the same broadcast domain, which is why putting them in different VLANs is pretty important, right? So if I put them into different VLANs, VLAN number 10 and VLAN number 20, it would become much better, right? We'll try understanding the same with another example, which will give us a better clarity on why VLANs are important, right? So let's say we have a big scenario, we have a big topology where we have a single router here connected to internet. And that router connects with another switch, which connects to multiple access layer switches, one for the management, one for the, let's say, help desk, one for the finance, and let's say another one for the sales. What do you think? Is it a good design? No. Why is it not a good design? These are the different switches. This is the access layer switch of management, help desk, finance, sales. What do you think, man? So what will happen when a computer connected to, let's say, my management domain would generate a ARP request? Okay. What will happen in that case? An ARP request is a what type of message? It's a broadcast, right? It is a bad network design. Let me tell you why. When an ARP request would be generated, it is going to be broadcasted and the entire network will be flooded with that broadcast frame, right? So when your switches learn about the MAC addresses, they do broadcast some messages, right? You all must have heard about unknown unicast flooding. I'll tell you guys about that also in detail. But right now, we can simply say because there is no isolation of these different teams, any broadcast message generated by any of the device would be received by all of them simply because they all are sharing the same broadcast domain. Right now, we just have a single broadcast domain. But if I put it or if I break it down into multiple VLANs, if I break down the broadcast domain into smaller chunks, I'll be able to segregate the domains and ensure that no broadcast of management gets into help desk or gets into finance or gets into sales. Make sense? So in order to do this segregation, we use some VLAN ranges. By default, all the interfaces of my switch would participate in a certain VLAN. What is that VLAN number? 1, right? VLAN number 1 is your default VLAN. Always remember that you cannot make any sort of modification in that. You cannot change the name, you cannot delete this particular VLAN. All the interfaces of your switch by default are going to participate in this particular VLAN, which we call as default VLAN. After that, we have a standard range. Can anyone tell me what is that range? Standard VLAN range? So the standard range actually starts from the VLAN number 2 and goes up to 1001. Okay. So like I was saying, I want to break down the VLANs or break down the broadcast domain into smaller parts. I can use the standard range for that. I can create a VLAN number 2, VLAN number 3, VLAN number 4, and 5, and so on to break down my complete broadcast domain into smaller parts. Then I have some reserved VLANs. 1002 to 1005. These are reserved VLANs. These are reserved for certain types of technologies which we no longer use, and we don't have any use of that, but they are still reserved in the operating system, so we cannot use it for our own use cases. Okay. So yeah, that's the reserved range for us. But yeah, I would also like to inform you guys that the newer switches, the newer operating systems, you will find that they do not reserve these VLANs, like I said, because the technologies are obsolete. Okay. So there you will not find any reservation for these VLANs. Then we have an extended range. Extended range goes up to 400, 4090, right? From 1006 to 4094. That's your extended range. Okay. When we talk about VLAN information, guys, VLAN information is not saved in the running config. So if it is not saved in the running config, where do we actually save it then? Any idea on that? So it's not going to be in the running config, neither it's going to be in the startup config. I can say it's not saved in the running config or startup config. It is stored in a separate file like many of you have mentioned already, the VLAN.dat file. It's stored in a, it is stored in a separate file called VLAN.dat. Okay. So VLAN.dat file ensures the configuration and the implementation of the VLANs. Now we will do a small lab. I will introduce you how the lab access looks like. I'll give you an idea on the topology things, and would also do a small lab related to VLANs, where we'll try to understand how the breaking of broadcast domain can be done with the help of VLAN commands. Okay, I will share my other screen, but before we do that, is there any question? Okay, I hope that we are good then. Okay, we do have a question. Voice again choppy. Abhijit, is it still not clear? Jacob, yes, most of the platforms I can say would have the use of VLAN.dat file. The newer operating systems, though, do not use VLAN.dat, like the NXOS specifically. You will see the VLANs getting stored in the running and startup config on those devices. No, Pramod, this is not how our trainings would work. So those who will enroll, you guys will get a Teams access. You will do the meeting on a Teams call, Microsoft Teams call, where you get the access of chat as well as the microphone. On Zoom also, we had a plan to give you guys the unmuting access. But yes, like Mr. Nitish has already mentioned, for some reasons like the operations are not working right now. And in the next class, which is tomorrow, we'll make sure that you all get the access of unmuting. I'm sorry again for the inconvenience about typing down your questions in the chat. But for today, I would request you to please manage it with the chat box. Tomorrow, we will make sure that you get the access to the mute unmute button and you can ask your question directly. And like I stated earlier, our trainings are conducted on Microsoft Teams. There you will always have the access to unmute, chat, raise your hands and everything. Sharing screen while doing some discussion. If you want to share your screen, ask up a question related to something specific, all of that would be addressed there. Okay. That's great, Swapnil. If you have already enrolled, soon you will get the access to the Teams call. Okay, I think we are good. We will move towards the lab part. Let's do a small lab so that we can understand how things work. Yes, Swapnil, I am again very sorry for that. Like I have said, there is some reason why my internet is not working today. I don't know. Uh, I I've switched now my network to my other connection. I'm hoping now it's all clear, right? Is it breaking again, guys? Please confirm. Not 100%. Okay. I'm hoping that I'm audible to all of you. You guys can understand me. I'll try fixing it meanwhile. Maybe it collapse. Okay. Just a minute, and I will quickly share my other screen. Venkateshan, the number of hours that we cover completely depends on the topic, but most likely it will always be a 2 hour, 2.5, and sometimes 3 hour sessions. Okay, you must be able to see my other screen now. Perfect. So you all will get access to your own personal EVNGs when we will get started with the training. When you will enroll for the training, you'll get a personal access to your EVNGs. And when you will sign in, you will see exactly similar folders having module 1, module 2, module 3, and so on. If I talk about module 1, under module 1, you will see all these different categories. Some topologies related to IP services and security, some related to routing concepts, some related to switch concepts, virtualization, wireless, and so on. Okay. Right now we are talking about switching, so I'll get to the appropriate folder. Here you can see the list of all the topics and the topologies that we need to know and discuss to prepare ourselves from that particular section. Right now we have discussed the VLANs. So I'll look for the VLAN. Here's my VLAN topology. So there you go. We have a small VLAN lab, which will help us gain the knowledge specifically right now about VLANs. Okay. Once we have gained that VLAN knowledge, similarly, we will move towards inter-VLAN communication, towards Ether channel, towards spanning tree, multiple spanning tree, rapid spanning tree, LDP, CDP, everything related to switches. Once we have discussed all these discussions and topics, we are done with the particular domain or that particular section. Then only we move to the next part, which can be about routing concepts, let's say. So after switching, usually I get started with routing concepts. There again, you can see the list of topologies and the topics that we would be discussing, like EIGRP. There's a small EIGRP lab. Then OSPF lab. See, OSPF DRBDR discussion. Then a big OSPF lab, somewhat like this, having multiple areas, having redistribution, having authentication, virtual link configuration, whatever is supposed to be discussed in the module number 1, we'll practice that related to OSPF here. Similarly, we'll do a big BGP lab having multiple autonomous system numbers. So one by one, we will cover these topics. Once we have done the module 1 discussion, we will go to module number 2. Under module 2, you will find similar categories. Under routing protocols, we can see the long list of BGP labs. We can see how the conditional advertisement works, how community works, how backdoor link works, how the load sharing happens, everything basically, right? Like I explained earlier also. So this is how basically you will get the access. And these are the topologies that you will get to practice on. For every topology and every topic and every lab that we do, there will be a supporting lab guide which will be shared with you after the class. So that when you practice, after completing your session, when you practice, you can revise the discussions, you can revise the commands, and can look at the lab guide for your reference. Okay. Right now, we are discussing VLANs. So let's get back to the VLAN topology. I will open this one and I will start my devices. Meanwhile, the devices are booting up. Let's take a small 10 minutes breather and be back after 10 minutes. After 10 minutes, we will look at the topology and we'll get started with the configurations. Can we get lab topologies? Venkateshan, once you enroll for the training, you will get the access to all these topologies. Okay, let's be back in 10, break for 10 minutes. Guys, am I audible clearly to all of you? Awesome, great. How long is training going to be? It's the whole duration of the training, guys, is a 100-hour program. It's a 100-hour program. The module one and two takes up somewhat around 60 to 70 hours, and module three and four both individually take 16 hours each, SD-WAN and SDA, and module five automation is for 8 hours. So in total, it's a 100-hour program, which will teach you all the topics that we have discussed in the content. Other than that, every day the session duration is going to be 2.5 hours to 3 hours, sometimes 2 hours. That depends on the topic that we are covering and how much we have discussed, how well we have understood the topic. Right now, before the break, we were talking about VLANs basics. We spoke about a bit of concepts related to VLANs. Now we will observe the working of the same. Here I have a design topology where I am assuming that I have different VLANs. I will put them all in the same network first. Though that is against the network design, but we'll put it in the same network first and we'll observe if after putting them into different VLANs or configuring different VLANs can stop the communication between devices or not. Okay. If I take the access of PC here, I can set an IP address on it by simply writing a command IP. And we are using the subnet 210.1.0. So I'll say IP 210.1.10, let's say, /24. This configures the IP 210.1.10 on my PC1. Likewise, I will proceed and assign the IP to the other devices. IP 210.1.11/24. Sorry, IP 210.1.12/24. Okay, right now, these devices haven't made any communication with each other. So if I go to my switch number one and I try to have a look on my MAC address table, show MAC address hyphen table, I can see the connected MAC addresses. It has learned about all the connected devices dynamically. I can see the MAC of my connected devices. I can see on gig 0/0, we have a PC with this MAC address. On gig 0/1, we have a PC with this. On gig 0/2, we have a PC with this MAC address. Then the gig 03, which is going to the switch, learns about the MAC address of switch 2. Likewise, I will proceed towards assigning IP to PC 6, 7, and 8. I'll ensure that I put them all in the same network, okay? So 210.1.10 is being used on PC 3, 11 on 4, 12 on 5. This will be 13. PC 7, IP 210.1.14, and then PC 8, 1.15. Right now, if I go to my PC3 and try to ping any other device, let's say ping 210.1.12, I'm getting the replies. If I ping 12.210.1.13, I'm getting the replies. Why? Because they all are sharing the same broadcast domain and are part of same network. But now I wish to put them in different VLANs. Okay, I'll get started by doing it first on my switch number one. Here's my switch number 1. Currently, if you want to check what is the state of the VLANs, you can use the command show VLAN brief. When I say show VLAN brief, I can see all of my interfaces are participating in which VLAN, guys? VLAN 1, perfect. Then I can see there are some pre-existing VLAN 2030, probably from my last configurations. So like we discussed, will I find them in show running config command? I'll not, right? I'll not see the VLAN configuration here. Similarly, if I say show startup config, I'll not see that there. I will find it in the VLAN.dat file. Now to permanently remove the VLANs from the device, or to permanently, let's say, get rid of VLAN.dat file, what we have to do is we have to delete this file. We have to tell the switch to delete VLAN.dat file, and then probably I can ask it to reload my switch so that I can see the fresh setup. For deleting it, we have a simple command, delete flash. In the flash memory, we have VLAN.dat file. Enter. If I confirm that, it will delete it. But right now, I'll not do so. I will remove my VLANs by saying no VLAN 10, no VLAN 20, no VLAN 30. Then again, I can check show VLAN brief. They are gone, right? Rajiv, do you have a question? I can see you have raised your hand. If you have a question, you can drop in the chat. Yes, let me know. What's your question, Rajiv? You can let me know in the chat box. So meanwhile, we can see all the interfaces are participating into the default VLAN, and then there are some reserved VLANs. Question is, when you configure IP address on host machine, the switch has learned the MAC address dynamically, correct? Yes, switch has learned it dynamically. That's correct. Okay. Now I will create these VLANs, VLAN 10, 20, and 30, and I will map the interfaces, which are currently all in default VLAN. I will map them appropriately to the VLAN 10, 20, and 30. So to create a VLAN, you have to get into your configuration mode. You have to say VLAN 10, and then you can give it some name also. Name sales. VLAN 20, okay, VLAN 30, name finance. VLAN 20, name, marketing, exit. These simple commands will add the VLANs to the list. You can confirm that by saying do show VLAN brief again, and you will find the list of VLANs into your database. Now we want to map gig00 to VLAN 10, correct? So I will select the interface gig00. And first of all, I will have to set the mode of this interface. There are majorly two modes in which a switch port can operate: access mode and then trunk mode. Access port or access mode switch ports are those switch ports which can only participate in one VLAN. Okay, remember this, that access ports are those ports which participate only in one VLAN. So first of all, I'll set the port mode as access by using the command switch port mode access. Then I will make it participate in VLAN 10 by using another command switch port access VLAN 10. Exit, do show VLAN brief. And I can see gig00 is mapped into VLAN number 10. Correct? Similarly, Select the other interface, get 0/1, switch port mode access, switch port access VLAN 20. Exit, get 0/2, switch port mode access, switch port access VLAN 30. Exit, do show VLAN brief. And I can see all the interfaces are mapped correctly. After mapping them into different VLANs, if I go and try making communication again, do you think I'll get a reply? Not reachable. If I try to ping 1.11, not reachable. Simple logic is there because now they all are participating in different broadcast domain. No communication would be allowed from PC3 to PC4 until and unless I implement inter-VLAN routing. But that's a later thing to discuss. Right now, we can observe that we have isolated VLAN 10, 20, and 30 devices from each other. Now, the same thing I will configure on switch 2 also, and then we will try experimenting a little bit more. I will take the access of switch 2. Let's check the current state of VLANs. Yeah, we do have some VLANs, some pre-created VLANs. So let's quickly get on to the mapping part. I will select the interface, gig00, switch port mode access, switch port access VLAN 10, right? Exit. Gig0/1, it will be mapped to VLAN number 20, which we are calling as marketing 2. So switch port mode access, switch port access VLAN 20. Exit. GI0/2, switch port mode access, switch port access VLAN 30. Exit. And we are done with the mapping. Show VLAN brief. There, right? Likewise, if I make any communication between PC6, PC7, and PC8, it's not going to work because simple reason, they are part of different VLANs. Now, guys, let me know if I try to send a ping from PC3 to PC6, they both belong to the same VLAN. Would that communication work? What do you think? No. Okay. Why? What do you think, Bruce? Why will it not work? Trunk mode configuration would be required, right? That is not activated. Very correct. So basically, as switch 1 and switch 2 are not yet configured about how to process this particular link, by default, they'll be keeping this 0/3 interface in which VLAN? In the VLAN number 1, correct? And when it will be in VLAN number 1, it will not be able to simply transfer the packets or frames VLAN 10, 20, or 30. But if I put it in VLAN 10, if I, let's say, make gig 0/3 on both the sides, switch 1 and switch 2, I make it a part of VLAN 10, then can I expect PC3 making a communication with PC6? What do you think? Yes, right? But that again will not resolve the problem for VLAN 20 and 30. So this is where we learn about this concept called trunk links. I told you there are two types of switch port modes. Access ports, which participate only in one VLAN. Then there are trunk ports. Trunk ports are those ports which participate in no VLAN. Understand and listen to me very carefully. Trunk ports participate in no VLAN but can communicate to all the VLANs. Okay. So they'll not participate in any VLAN, but they have the ability of taking the frames or transmitting the frames related to all the VLANs which are configured on your switch. So what I am going to do is I will go to the switch number 1, but before that, let me go to PC number 3 and I'll try to ping PC 6. So ping 210 1 dot 10, 11, 12, 13, 1 dot 13. PC6 is my 210 1 dot 13, right? Yeah, not reachable. Correct. Now I will configure this link as trunk link. So I will go to switch number 1. I will go to gig 0/3 and I will simply use the command switch port mode trunk. When I do so, it tells me that, okay, you cannot set it to trunk mode until and unless you define the encapsulation method. So we will add another command here, switch port trunk encapsulation dot 1q. What is this switch port trunk encapsulation dot 1q command? So we know that when we transmit frames on a trunk link, these frames will be tagged with the VLAN ID. Okay, that's how the other side switch will know from what VLAN a particular switch is coming from. For example, if VLAN 10 sends some frame to the switch before transmitting it on the trunk link will put a tag on it that this frame belongs to VLAN number 10. Now, when it reaches switch 2 will look at the frame. It will understand that it belongs to VLAN number 10. And if the destination is in VLAN number 10, then only I will forward it. Otherwise, I'll drop it. So this tagging mechanism is called encapsulation. Encapsulation's literal meaning is adding data to some pre-existing information. So when you add this encapsulation tag, or when you add this 802.1q tag, when you encapsulate this tag on that particular frame, you basically can identify from what VLAN that frame is belonging to, right? This tagging or this encapsulation can be done in two ways. One method is ISL method. ISL was a Cisco proprietary protocol. It is a tagging protocol only, but is now no longer used because we have a better version of it, a standard version of it called 802.1q. 802.1q, on the other hand, is much lighter. It has a lesser header size and is much faster as compared to ISL. So ISL is no longer used. You will always find 802.1q being into the picture. So that is what we have set as the encapsulation protocol for my gig 0/3 interface. I've said I want to use the switch port trunk encapsulation using .1q. After that, I will run the command switch port mode trunk, and it will start operating as trunk port. Exit. Any questions so far? Sure. When we talk about trunk ports, any frame that we transmit over them is supposed to be tagged. Okay? It's supposed to be tagged with the VLAN information. So this tagging can be done using two mechanisms, ISL, which is Cisco Pro. ISL, it stands for Inter Switch Link. I will also put these notes on that notepad so that we have it all in the same place. It's a Cisco proprietary and old protocol. Okay. And then we have IEEE created 802.1q, which we also amount, which we also call as .1Q. Okay. This is, we can say, the standard protocol for the same job. Now, while ISL is only compatible with Cisco devices, .1Q is a standard protocol, can be used with all the vendors, right? Otherwise, also, ISL used to have a very big header. It used to have a header of approximately 30 bytes. On the other hand, when we speak about .1Q, it has a very less weighted header, which is of 4 byte. So this differentiation here only can show you how better .1Q is in comparison to ISL. Plus, in addition to that, ISL only supported up to 1000 VLANs. You could only tag frames related to 1000 VLANs only. Whereas in .1Q, there is no such limit. You can support up to all the 4096 VLANs. Okay. So these are the two tagging mechanisms. Now, when a frame travels from PC to the switch use one of these mechanisms to put a tag. That is what we are defining here using this command. When I say on my switch port trunk encapsulation .1Q, I'm telling it to use .1Q tags. Okay. And then I have converted it into a trunk port. Is that clear, Abhijit? Perfect. Now the frame would travel over the trunk port. It will reach the destination. So destination also has to be a trunk interface, right? So on the switch 2 also, I will go to GI0/3. I'll say switch port trunk encapsulation to be done using .1Q and then switch port mode trunk. Once I have made it a trunk port, then again I will go to my PC3 and will try to ping PC6. Earlier, I didn't get a reply. I will try again, and this time I am getting the replies. Make sense? If I try to ping PC7, what do you think? Will I get a reply? No, right? Because PC7 belongs to a different domain. So if I try to ping 1.14, that is still unreachable. If I try to ping 1.11, that's again still unreachable because they all belong to different VLANs. But if from PC4, I will try to put traffic towards PC7, then I will get the replies because that's again from VLAN 20 to VLAN 20. That's a communication between the same VLANs, right? We can check the details of configured trunk link by running a command. Show interface trunk. So when I say show interface trunk, I can see gig0/3 is what we have configured as trunk port. Mode is currently being shown as on. That means we are using the static method. So trunk links can also be created using a dynamic method. We call it DTP, Dynamic Trunking Protocol. That's not very reliable and not very much used in productions. That's why you will not see it being much discussed in any of the Cisco certification either. But yeah, there is an option of that. So mode defines that it is the static method. Encapsulation is being done using 802.1Q. Status is trunking. Native VLAN is set as 1. We'll talk about it. And then I see VLANs which are allowed on trunk. So I can see all the VLANs by default are allowed on trunk, starting from 1 to 4094. Okay. VLANs which are allowed and are active in management domain 1, 10, 20, 30. VLANs in spanning tree forwarding state and not pruned 1, 10, 20, 30. Again, we can ignore this right now. We'll discuss that later when we discuss spanning tree. But otherwise, we can see all the VLANs by default are allowed. And we can see the active ones, which includes 1, 10, 20, 30. You can also manage this list. You can make modifications in the list by going back onto the interface. So interface gig 0/3 and running the command switch port trunk allowed VLAN, and you can make modifications using all these keywords. You can add to the list. You can say, I want to allow all the VLANs. I want to allow all VLANs except a particular one. So we can do that. You can say none, which will remove all the VLANs from the trunk. If you say remove some particular VLAN, that VLAN will be removed from that particular trunk link. So what I will do is I will remove the VLAN number 10. Okay. And then I will check do show interface trunk again. Now I can see the allowed VLANs are 1 to 9 and 11 to 4094. VLAN 10 is no longer allowed. That means if I go to PC3 again and try to ping PC6 again, I will not get any reply. Clear, guys? We can see it as unreachable. So this is how we can also manage and prune the VLANs which are allowed on the trunk link. Clear, guys? Okay, we have a question. If we have to put the encapsulation type before making an trunk interface, does that mean we can use encapsulation on excess ports? On excess ports, you don't use encapsulation configuration because they are attached to only one VLAN, right? So switch accepts the tag internally. Your PC is not putting any tag. They'll accept it internally when the frame reaches the switch. So it does it within itself. That's why we don't need any encapsulation protocol there. I will discuss about that. But before that, any questions here regarding trunk, Tarun? Host machine, the switch dynamically learns their MAC. Yes, on most of the switches, you will find .1q as the default type. By default, it picks up the 802.1q as the default encapsulation protocol. In case there is no default encapsulation protocol defined, in those cases, you will get error like we observed. So when I tried creating it, the trunk port earlier, it said that it has to be defined with the encapsulation protocol, right? So in such cases, you will get error and you will have to specify that. Okay, we have a question from Rajiv. When IP addresses are configured on host machines, the switches are dynamically learning their MAC. Is it because of uh, gracious app? No. So no, we don't need that GR to learn the MAC addresses. They are learned from the frames of the PCs which are generated. So by default, even if you do not initiate any communication, some frames are still exchanged. So with that particular information, switches dynamically picks up the MAC address of connected devices. In most of the cases, you will find them. In some of the cases, you will not find them. So until and unless you will not make a communication, you might not see any MAC address in the switch MAC address table. Okay. So that's not GR getting into the picture. We can say it's just a dynamic method, which sometimes the switch picks up from the different protocols. Any other questions, guys? Now let's talk about native VLAN. 802.1q trunks give you the option of this native VLAN. And it's a kind of exception that we create for VLANs. The frames of native VLANs are sent without a tag. So right now we just observed in the details that the native VLAN is set to 1, right? On the other side also, if you will go to switch 2 and check show interface trunk, you can see the native VLAN is set to 1. This means all the traffic related to VLAN number 1 would travel from one point to the other point without any tags. By default, the native VLAN is set to VLAN number 1, but you can change it. Okay. So native VLAN ensures that they send or receive the traffic as untagged traffic without any tags. And how do we use it, or what exactly do we use it for? So many protocols are there which work on layer 2. There is CDP, there is PAGP, DTP, like I mentioned, dynamic trunking protocol, STP VPDUs. They often ride over the native VLAN. So we want all that traffic to be untagged to avoid any unnecessary load on the device. Yeah. So for such purposes or for such protocols, we can say native VLAN is utilized. We can modify and change this, but we need to ensure that we put it same on both the sides. I'll show you how that works. If I go to switch 1 on the trunk interface, I can say switch port trunk native VLAN and can probably set it to, let's say, 20. Okay. Then if I check show interface trunk, I'll see my native VLAN got updated to 20. But till the time, I will not change it on the other side also, which means on the switch 2 also, I will keep getting these logs that says there is native VLAN mismatch discovered on the gig 0/3 interface with switch having gig 0/3 configured as 1. So we need to fix this, otherwise on both the sides we'll keep getting the mismatch logs. And it is important to keep it same on both the sides so that when any untagged traffic travels from switch 1, switch 2 can understand that it belongs to native VLAN, right? And if it will not be same on both the sides, there will be confusions. So that's why it is important that I go to the GI 0/3 and say I want to set the native VLAN to 20. And there you go. Once I fix it on both the ends, I will not see these logs. I'll not see any errors. That's how the native VLAN works. Any questions here? Yes, the GR, we have a question from Venkateshan about GR. So it is used for that part only. It's a kind of question that who has my own IP address. We basically kind of detect if anyone else also have the same IP. If we get no reply, that means we are safe. If we get a reply, that means there is a IP conflict, right? All good. Perfect. What about others, guys? If we are using different VLAN 20 native VLAN, we can use VLAN 1 for tagged traffic, right? That's correct. If you change the native VLAN to VLAN 20 on both the sides, now any data that belongs to VLAN number 1 would also be tagged. Okay, will switch update MAC address during GR request? Yes, switch will definitely update the MAC address as per the information it receives. So switch behavior is like this. When it receives a layer 2 frame and it looks at the source MAC, it will check and confirm the same in its MAC address table. If it is there, then good. If it is not there, or if something else is there, it makes the update. It makes the update in the MAC address table, or what we call as CAM table. Any other questions, guys? Any other doubts regarding whatever we have spoken about so far? Okay, I have given you guys the access to the mics as well. So if you want to say something, you want to ask something, you can use the unmute button and yeah, you can talk. Okay, cool. So that's how basically the VLANs work. At the layer two, these are a few of the concepts that I wanted to explain you guys in the first class. Usually, the first class we keep introductory. We discuss about uh, the audience. We try to learn about how the audience is uh, there in the session. We talk about their experiences, but as earlier, we guys were not able to do it because of the mic issues. I would be very much happy if you guys can, probably, if you wish to, you can unmute yourself and you can tell me about your experiences, about your knowledge so far if you want to, basically. Okay, that's not mandatory to introduce yourself, but if you want to say something, you have the access to the mic now. Okay, I'll like to address a question before you guys start. Can we communicate different VLANs users with same IP subnet? No, Venkateshan. Whenever you put VLAN configuration, the appropriate design is to put all the VLANs in different networks. Okay. If you might be able to recall, I said this in the beginning also. The appropriate rule of the network design says that VLANs should have different networks. But we have kept it same here in this case only for an understanding that if we put them in different VLANs, they'll not be able to communicate even while belonging to same IP subnet. So take it as a exception demonstration. I just wanted to demonstrate and make you all very clear about this idea that even if they belong to same network, they still cannot communicate with each other because they belong to different VLANs. Okay. Otherwise, whenever we will create a VLAN topology, we'll put them in different networks. Between switches, if you want to make a communication, either you have to go for a trunk link or a layer 3 connection. Access ports will only allow you to make communication for one VLAN. But if you have, let's say, multiple VLANs, you would need a trunk port or otherwise a layer 3 port, which we will learn most probably in the class tomorrow.
Hi, Chirag. Hello.
Yes, Venkatesh.
Yeah. So my question actually, we can just make it access port between trunks. So then, if VLAN 10 traffic is coming, so let's say I just configured switch one like trunk interface you mentioned, right? G0/3. So that I configured with VLAN 10 access port, and other side I configured with VLAN 20. So we'll switch to G0/3, right? That interface I configured VLAN 20. So that case it will communicate, right? So both, let's say I have VLAN 10, I configured 192.168.1.1/24, and VLAN 20 I configured 192.168.1.2/24. And for instead of trunk, I configured access port both side switch between switch connection.
And you are saying on one side it is VLAN 10, on the other it is 20.
Yes, yes.
No,
This
that
access port, it will not tag the VLANs, right? So it's like untagged traffic only, right?
even if it is access port, then we need to understand one thing, that if a frame is, let's say, sending some data to the switch is going to understand and receive it on the VLAN number 10 only, correct?
Yes, yes.
So putting it
Uh,
towards VLAN 20 won't be possible.
no, no, it's VLAN 10. Actually, this Z0/3, right? So it will put VLAN 10. That interface also part of VLAN 10, right? It will try to put traffic on the 10. So it will send to the other switch. So other switch, it will tag like it. It will receive on the Z0/3, which is assigned VLAN 20 port access port. So again, it will try to send the same VLAN, which is part of this switch, right? This switch 2.
But then also, how will the communication work? Like, if you will send some traffic, your switch need to know the MAC address connected to GI0/3, right?
Yes.
You getting my point? Your logic is, we can say, okay, fine, that you are saying that if switch would put it out on GI0/3, assuming it is a VLAN 10 traffic, then it should go to switch 2, and switch 2 should receive it on VLAN 20, as it is
Yes.
participating in VLAN 20, right? But tell me, if that frame would be generated, what would be the source MAC and destination MAC of that frame? There
Okay.
would be some,
Mm.
at the level of making this communication, end-to-end communication possible, this is not going to work out, right? Because we won't have those addresses to fill the information correctly. Make sense, Venkateshan?
Yeah. Actually, I tested this. It's working, but I need to check this VLAN what MAC address it's updating on switch for destination MAC, right?
Yeah, you will find some loophole there. You will find some problems
Mm.
there. Also, see, it is not going to be a scalable solution anyhow.
Yeah. No, just I'm asking. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you, Chirag. Yeah.
Yes. Anyone else? All right. As it is the very first session, like I was saying earlier, we keep it introductory and a short class to make sure that we all get on the same page before getting into the depths. So, likewise, today also, I would like to keep it up to this particular point. Initially, there were some mic and network related issues. I would again like to apologize for that. I know at that time my voice was not clear to all of you. Some part of my explanation would have been missed, but we make sure that we record all the sessions. And in the recordings, you will not see any lag or disturbance in the voice. So you can access the recordings whenever you will get the portal access, right? You will see these recordings there. Otherwise, other than that, you will receive the access link to tomorrow's class from my team soon. You'll get it. And then you can join that tomorrow's class also to understand more about inter VLAN routing, where we explore the options like SVI and router on a stick, and also how a layer 3 connection can be established between two switches like this. And then we can probably make the whole topology communicate to each other. So that's what we would be looking at in the class tomorrow. I hope you enjoyed the first session today. This was a demo class. So if you have any other questions, if you want to discuss anything, close this session or wrap up the session, you can feel free to raise your hands. Anything, it can be anything about the topics that we have covered, or it can be anything about uh, something that you're training or lab access. If you have got any sort of questions, please let me know. Otherwise, we will wrap it up and we are good.
Again, you are breaking up, Chirag. I would like to ask one thing. Uh, are we going to get the, Atlas EVNG images and the topology on your laptop for the setup purpose? Someone from your team can help us in order to set up it.
You can check that with Mr. Nitish.
I did check it before I enrolled. He said, I think uh, that is possible.
Yeah, if you will have the resources, enough resources, and if you have discussed it with Mr. Nitish and he says so, then we can definitely help you out, or I can ask my team to help you out with setting up a similar setup at your end.
Cool. Thank you.
Okay, I think we all are good. So thank you so much, everyone. Thank you for joining this session. I hope you enjoyed the first class. Tomorrow we'll get into the interview and routing. Hoping to see you all tomorrow at the same time. Take care. Enjoy your day. Bye bye. Have a nice day.